another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host, as always, Tina. How are you doing?
I am so freaking tired. I run myself like I'm 20 years old, and I am not.
Yeah. I mean, none of us are. Yeah. I talked to my old roommate today, and
yeah?
I mean, I didn't talk to her. We're just in passing. We were texting each other over. I saw that she was doing some modeling again, so we were bullshitting. And she was like, that was yesterday. And then I talked to her a little bit today, and she's like, I'm so tired. Like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah, like we're not young anymore. Like, it's just not the same. You know, we're just at a, and I mean, look, and again, like, not in a bad way, but it is true. Like, you definitely feel things when you run yourself ragged. You definitely do. I mean, even the gym sometimes, like, because we do legs on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday is rough for me. Wednesday's not, like, because my muscles aren't contracting or anything yet. But Thursday, I feel it. I'm like, oh, that's why I tried to like really, really like run or like to get all my walking in to kind of like make sure my legs are still like going instead of like laying around or sitting or doing anything.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know. I was going through a bunch of different subjects that we have on, from years ago, like when we first started, actually, that we still haven't done, but some of them have kind of ran their course because, COVID doesn't exist anymore. And like, a bunch of other things.
Oh, but it does. You need to go out and get another vaccination.
Oh yeah. Well, bird flu, there's a bunch of them. We're going to die of something.
I'm over it.
Speaking of that, I was kind of thinking like we should do a show today on, we're at a point in life now where our friends are dying, like legitimately dying, like not freak accidents, not, anything crazy. Because we had some people from high school, like right out of high school, die in like a car accident.
Yeah.
Like, and that's those kind of things are always going to happen, right? We're going to have friends that, for whatever freak accident happens, yes, they're going to die. Or obviously suicides that have happened through, just bad things in their life. They've taken their own life. And I've had some friends that have done that or OD'd. My old tag team partner when I was a wrestler, he OD'd twice, if you can believe that. He actually died the first time when he had his EKG from the paramedics where he flatlined, and he kept it and he still didn't stop.
Wow.
Drugs are rough for sure.
They are.
So I was like gonna throw it out at you, like, I mean, I don't know, like personally for you, but my an ex-girlfriend of mine from, I believe it was 11th grade, I think, passed away about a month and a half ago of cancer. And we were talking, texting each other, and we would talk every blue moon. Like I said, she got kind of weird with me, and I kind of had to kind of pump the brakes. But she had came to me and said, "Oh, look, I'm sick." And by the time she really told me she was sick, she was going into long-term hospice.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and oh boy, there's just nothing you can say to someone that's going into hospice because it's over. Like, you know what I mean? So it was kind of the first time where I had to kind of deal with that aspect of life. My mom passed away, went to sleep one night, didn't wake up. I've had some friends. I had a friend of mine who was a wrestler die at 40. He had a heart attack at a funeral and ended up
at a funeral.
Yeah. He ended up surviving it until he got to the hospital, and then he had a widowmaker at the hospital and died.
Wow.
Yeah. So for me, I don't know how much we can really dive into this topic. It was just kind of kind of bugging me. Kind of like last week where I was just, we talked about how other people's relationships kind of affect us. Well,
Yeah.
this is going to affect us obviously way more as we're getting older. We're both over 50, and our bodies are changing, or this is when most people get crazy diseases like cancer or, long-term effects of whatever.
Hmm.
So I was going to kind of throw it out there. I don't know. Have you had any friends pass away, like,
I
or
have.
relatives or whatever?
I have. And you know, I just had one of my clients, a long-term client, passed away last week. And she was a very good friend of mine, and I was just like another one. Because I work on older women's hair,
Hmm.
because that's the ones that are going to the salon every week to get their hair done. You get to know people that are 20, 30 years older than I am. And yeah, when they don't make it, or when, like just friends of mine's parents have been passing or getting sick, and it's been hard. It's been a hard journey. I don't really talk about it much because I don't want to dwell on that, because I do believe in that I will be seeing them again. But yeah, it sucks. And trying to talk people through the fact that, or not the fact, but just talk them through dealing with losing someone is not an easy task. And it seems like everybody comes to me to talk about that because God knows I've been through a lot of deaths. Like I had one of my best friends when I used to live with my ex would tell me, I've never known anybody that has lost more people than you. And then so fast, like they go in clusters. So um then one day I went to her because she had lost several people in her family within a short amount of time. And I said, now you understand. She goes, I thought about that and I'm so sorry I said that to you, because now I get it.
Hmm.
That's just par for the course, though. Nobody knows until they know what it feels like, or what it's like to lose one person, two people, three people, you know.
Mostly quickly. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Or like in a
yeah,
very short amount of time where,
exactly.
um, that's kind of a dual purpose for this. I think. I think I found myself now looking more of like, what is life, right? We're in a spot now where I love Shawshank Redemption, and I'm going to quote it, but I thought it was a really good one. You can either get busy living or get busy dying. And I
That's for
think
sure.
when you hear something like that, it should sting. You should step back for a second and go, what am I doing? Where am I at? Like, or what do I want to do? So look, I, I'm I'm at a spot where, you know, it's weird. I want to do things and then I don't. Or um I was talking, actually, I did miss talk to you before the show. I did see my friend down the street on Friday. I went and had lunch with her. Um and it's really weird. When we talk, sometimes we'll be on like talking about whatever, and it turns serious really quick.
Hmm.
And I think that's just how I talk to her because of what goes through my mind. And I'm not one for keeping things in anymore. So I
Right.
just am very straightforward, and I'll say something to her about something. But yeah, I think that we're at a spot now where it's like, what do you want to do? And we were both talking about like being single, and and she was like, yeah, the more that I'm single, the more I like it. And I was like, yeah, no, I
Hmm.
I get that. Because it is like, I'm scared to get in a relationship because of how long I've been single. You know what I mean? It's
Really? I don't know. I just jump in when I'm doing something. I don't really think about it, or I don't worry about it, because I've gotten to the point where I've been through so much. I'm like, everything's going to be fine. Just do it.
I kind no look. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. I would jump in a second with her, in without even blinking. But I understand that, like, because you have freedoms, y- being in a relationship, you have to twist and turn and kind of, you're bouncing things off of each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's like when you're stuck in a groove and you know that, like, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna watch the hockey game. No one's gonna say shit to me. When you're
Hmm.
in a relationship, mostly if you're in a serious one and you're spending lots and lots of time with somebody, you do have to put their consideration and how that's going to affect them and these type of things. And I think that's what we have to start thinking about in life. Like, everything affects everything. And I'm kind of like you
Yeah.
too. I jump in very quickly. Um, as much as I thought, and again, I'm not a big horoscope guy, but I thought I was a Gemini for a very long time. And then I started looking at things, and I'm very much a Cancer. Um, like, on a lot of these things that I read, like, holy crap, I'm very much that. And she's a Gemini and she's very much that. And it's kind of funny. But I, I got to a point now where I'm like you, jump in, fuck it, see what happens. And if it fails, it fails. And at least you both know, and it is what it is. And I think that that's what we should all do in life now. We're at a spot where, like, literally we could, our ticker could stop for no reason just
Hmm.
because our bodies are, people like to say midlife. If you look at midlife for the normal male human being, because goodness sakes, you guys live longer than us. I believe for men, it's like 72 now, right?
Wow.
So midlife was 36.
Yep.
Okay. I'm 53. I'll be 54 in June. I'm well past my midlife. So I'm at the end of my life. Or I'm
God, you
I'm
make that sound so like gloomy.
but it's true. We're turning, if you look at this like a horse race, we're coming up on turn 4. Like, this is, you know what I mean? Like, and that's just the truth. And I'm not trying to make it gloomy. I'm trying to make it live.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
if
there's
you,
definitely no time like the present. That's for
yeah,
sure.
like, stop worrying about the future
Hmm.
and definitely stop worrying about the past.
All right. Give that
I,
up.
I heard a great statement. I forgot who was talking. It was on Instagram, but they were talking about, it was Kevin Smith, the movie guy. He was talking about not living in the present. He's like, people live in the past. He goes, the past by now is fiction.
Yeah.
So it's all it is. You can't live in the past. And the future is total bullshit because the future isn't here yet. Who gives a shit? And he said the same thing. You might die in 2 days and you don't know it. So live in the present. And I kind of agree with that. Like, look, I want my son to be okay when I pass away. I do. But I also want to live while I'm here.
Hmm.
And I've seen what death of younger people does to families. Um, and a good friend of mine who was a wrestler, he died at 50. He lived. He was, oh man. Um, he wrestled under the name Supreme. He was such a good guy. His name was Lester. He was just he was such a good human. Like, he would always do something for you, but he was crazy as shit. And I mean crazy. He did matches where, like, he dove into barbed wire, broken glass,
Oh,
beds and
hell no.
nails, like crazy, crazy shit. He was set on fire at Kennedy High School.
No way.
Yeah. So,
That's
like, oh, not Kennedy. I'm sorry, not Kennedy, Birmingham. But
okay.
he it was in the gym. They did a show at a gym and he got set on fire and it burned the shit out of him. And after he had a heart attack, the first time he had a heart attack, the first thing he wanted to do is, I can't wait until I wrestle again.
Hmm.
So he lived, like, he lived. And there was something to that. Like, I had seen him probably about 7 months before he passed away at a wrestling show. He was getting put into a Hall of Fame with some other friends of mine. And I didn't know even if I was going to go. I'm so glad I went.
Yeah.
Because I also got to talk to another friend of mine, Joey, and we had a long conversation just about life, like real life shit, like where we're at and um, how we feel about like the wrestling business. And he felt like he didn't know anything else because he's been in it so long. Like he's like, yeah, if I quit this, I don't know what I'm going to do because I've never done anything. Like,
Wow.
and I looked at that like, wow. But again, he lived his own life. He took it by the horns and he's done it. And I kind of give him a lot of credit for that. Like there's something to that. Because I think a lot of us live with so much worry about the future that by the time we get to that future, we've not lived. We're just going to end up being like, oh man, this sucks. Like I didn't do it. And I don't want regret on my deathbed. And they said that that's like the top thing that people talk about. I wish I would have done this. And look, we're all going to have something like that. I don't want to say that, you're going to be like, yay, everything I've ever wanted to do, I did, because that's also not realistic. But
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people where that they've lived, but then I see, like I said, my friend who OD'd, he never lived. He was like 33 years old, 30, yeah, 30, 33 or
Yeah.
34. And it was somber for so many reasons because he was a good guy too. He just let something eat him alive. So for me, I saw, I don't even know what sparked this, but I maybe it was that thing with Kevin Smith that I saw because I had sent it to my friend down the street. And to me, that you have to live. And I'm going to do my best now to be the most truthful person I can with everyone and everything.
Mm.
You have to be not afraid to hurt people's feelings because you're going to,
Absolutely.
whether they're your friends or they're your relationship or they're your family, you're going to hurt people's feelings, but you're living. And I hope that well after I'm gone, or actually right after I'm gone, just so you know, if I die before you, and this goes out to my friend down the street and my son and whoever listens to this way later on, I want to have a very, very much Irish funeral. I want everyone to go to a bar and drink and say either you hated me or you liked me. And I want
Do we have to
everyone
wear
to go
kilts?
and everyone to drink. Yeah, kilts would be cool. But my
You
thing
want
is
the
just,
bagpipes and everything?
I just want people to understand that like I lived and I did my best to tell the truth to everybody and I did my best to fix whatever I thought I messed up. I was talking to another old friend of ours from a girl I dated when I was 18 years old. And um I kind of talked to her about like I should have chased her when I was 18. We kind of had a little conversation about it. It was kind of interesting. And I think that at that point, she even kind of told me she was scared
Mm.
because, and she goes, and I said, I kept trying to find you. And she goes, no, I know you did because the people that you tried to find me through told me that you were trying to find me. And I was like, yeah. And then I told her, like, when she came back from boot camp, I said, I should have never let you walk out the door that day without saying something to you. And I kind of just sat on my feelings and I never said anything. And look, we're where we're at because, look, I ended up with a great kid. She's got kids. Everything's peachy keen. On the surface at least. But for me, I think that I didn't do enough living in when I should have. Like I didn't live enough in my 20s and 30s. I was very subdued. I stayed in the same condo for years because I didn't want to go anywhere. And I was just very stagnant. And now that I'm older, I've as soon as I got a divorce, I moved to Vegas for a couple of years, and then I came home, and as soon as I could find a way to where I'm at now, I moved. Even though other people that said things to me like, why are you coming out here? Why are you doing this? Or why are you doing that? Because you only live once. And I kind of I almost moved to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and maybe there is a little bit of doing it for the wrong reasons, or doing it because, you know, you're trying to fill a gap or whatever. But I do believe that those things are done because you're thinking of doing them. You know what I mean? Like if I'd have moved to North Carolina and that failed, at least I'd had started a new life.
Mm-hmm.
But I was probably running from another one. So, and I don't want to do that anymore either. I don't want to run. I don't want to run from something. Why?
Right. You
I
should
want to
have.
run to it.
There you go.
And I think that that's what we all should do. I don't want to be a picture on a card where everyone comes and goes, wow, he lived an okay life, or he did this, or he did that. I want people to go, well, fuck. He, you know, got divorced and he moved to Vegas because he wanted to do something different because he was stagnant for 17 years in the same place. My ex-wife fucking hated me for that. Hated me. Like, was so upset. Now you want to leave and now you want to move out of the state. Well, and look, you know, I was chasing something that I shouldn't have in the first place. But I think that even though I did that, it forced me to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped me. So there's a lot of things. And I think living with my old roommate helped me. That helped me, you know, for one, be a better person. And I think be more of, have more empathy, because she was so much younger than me. It was like having a little sister that I never had.
Mm.
So you know, she would literally, I'd be at my computer and she would literally walk in my room, lay in the bed and just go and vomit out whatever was going on in her life. So I felt like I was like a pseudo therapist, which, you know, I think helped me as well. Just dealing with other things. And I think it helped me maybe deal with my son differently, because
Mm-hmm.
I was having issues with my kid at one point and my job and taking my work home. And thankfully that happened to me because I got to a point in my life where I went, I'm not going to take my work home ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And I
You
don't
shouldn't.
ever. Yeah. When that door hits me on the ass, I don't give a shit about work anymore
Mm-hmm.
until the next morning. And when I'm there, I give 110.
I don't even consider work after I walk out the door. It's done. It's a wrap. Once I'm gone, I'm like, okay, back to Tina. But I don't have a high stress job.
Right.
But
No, but I mean, my thing is like just not taking it home. Like, don't if you had a bad experience at work, I don't bring it home and let it destroy my evening.
mm-hmm.
And for a while I did. Like,
Gotcha.
and I would take it out on my kid.
You know, for the longest time, I thought that I had to be perfect, or I was striving to be perfect because I felt like that is what I needed to do to make everybody happy with me. What I realized during trying to do that is that I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy in the least. It was actually quite the opposite. So then I decided to be happy instead of being perfect. And I go and I travel a lot. I do a lot of things. I do whatever I want to do. Especially being divorced. I could get on my bike. I could take a train. I could take a plane. I could do whatever the hell I want to. Take my car. But I tell my friends, I said, look, I don't want to be on my deathbed saying, I wish I would have done something. I want to be on my deathbed going, well, that was a really stupid idea, but damn, that was fun. And I
Mm-hmm.
always tell people, I give you so many things to write in the eulogy when I die because I don't want to do things perfect. And I like to be able to laugh at myself. And I want to just give things a shot, not to do them correctly, not to even do them well, but just to say I did it and to enjoy the fact that I gave it a shot. I believe that we all need to be doing that because you're right. We are getting younger. People are dying. This dementia shit, man, it's like it's plaguing people right now. Where I never heard of it when we were younger, or rarely. Now it seems like every place I turn, I'm hearing somebody's got it. So if we don't make time for our life to have fun and to be happy and to try new things now, when? When will we do that?
Right.
Um, People die young. It's unfortunate. My mom died at 59. I'm going to be 54 and I look, am I going to make it 5 more years? Am I going to get to the point that she got to? I mean, truly, I ask myself that a lot.
Me too.
I didn't have all the ailments my mom had, but it doesn't mean that that I'm not her daughter. Let's just put it that way. So I look at things different, but I do try to live. I really do. I've always been that person that's been like, well, this is going to be a bad idea, but fuck it, let's find out, let's do it. And I think that I'm okay no matter what happens in life, because I really have done some stupid shit to try to keep life interesting. And I'm not opposed to doing it now. I'm really not.
Right.
So I think the trick is finding and doing what makes you happy every day, or finding a reason to be happy every day and going with that. It just needs to happen.
Yeah, my thing is kind of the same with you though. I think that I've done some dumb things,
Mm-hmm.
not I don't think horribly, but I've done some dumb shit. And I've done a lot of things for the wrong reasons. But I want to also do the same thing that you just said. I would rather start doing things and failing miserably and know the outcome of 5 years very much closer than waiting 5 years, or
Mm-hmm.
waiting for that to happen, or waiting for this to happen, or I hope this happens. It's like, no, you don't hope, just make it fucking happen. Like, do it. It's
Yeah.
okay. And again, I, I've been watching this TV show on Hulu. It's called Shoresy. It's about hockey, but it's really about life. As much as it's about hockey, it's really about people. And there's a great, they're having a losing streak, and the owner of the team is this lady, and she goes to him and she goes, I don't understand, like they don't what are they don't like winning? And he goes, no, they don't hate losing.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a great quote. You're right. If and that's life. You got to hate to lose in life. If you hate to
Mm-hmm.
lose in life, you're going to be okay. And know that, look, some things are always going to be a crapshoot, right? You're going to roll the dice on tons of shit. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
roll the dice walking down the stairs sometimes, because you may slip, fall down, and bang your noggin and never, wake up. Or you may, get into a relationship and it fails miserably, even though you thought it was going to be the greatest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get into a relationship that you're like, man, this may not be what I think it's going to be, and it may end up being the fucking greatest thing in the whole world. You don't know.
That's true too.
And I think that we all have to do that. And I hate to say, like, I have tattoos on me that a lot of people ask me about, because I have a lot of skulls and clocks. And the one I got on my left arm first it's a skull with a huge clock, and it's breaking in pieces. And people were like, oh, that's cool looking, but what does it mean? And I said, death is chasing us.
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. And they thought it was a tad morbid, but I'm like, what this tattoo means is live now. Time is not stopping.
Yeah.
It's going to tick, 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 tick. No matter what we do, can't stop it. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day, and tomorrow's another day. By the end of this week, 5 days will be gone that we can never get back. So
It's
don't
true.
waste them. And I think I've seen some people waste time. And we were talking about my mom the other day, because she lived. My mom gave 2 fucks. She was married 4 times. She dated whoever the hell she wanted. She didn't give a shit what people thought. She married somebody who was my age at the time, and I think it was like 22.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Which ruined her relationship with her mom.
Did it?
That she never fixed. My grandma passed away before she could ever,
Your grandmother was mad at her for doing that or something?
Yeah.
No.
Like, you got to remember our parents grew up in a much different time.
For sure.
I ended up reading a diary that my mom left for me and my brother that I sort of wish I didn't read, but it gave me a bigger insight to my mom. But she lived. She didn't care. If she was not happy in a relationship, she left. Just packed up and bailed out. She didn't wait a year to do it. That just wasn't her MO. She was like, nope, not happy, I'm leaving, and fucking bailed. Now, years later, about 4 months before she passed away, maybe 5, we were talking one night on Skype and just about certain things. And she said, my biggest regret in life is divorcing your dad.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's funny because she said that, but then I read her diary, and my not her diary, but a diary that she wrote in like 1989. So she waited years to write all this stuff down.
Wow.
Yeah. Like right before I went out after I graduated.
That's when you got it, or?
No, I got it after she passed away. That's when she wrote it.
Okay.
And it's funny. She wrote talking about it like I was going to go out there for the summer. And that was the last entry she ever wrote. Me coming there. And she never wrote anything else after that.
Wow.
Yeah, really weird. But she talked about like relationships that she had with people like right out of high school. Like she wasn't allowed to date in high school. Ooh. Because it was, it was the 40s, late 40s, early 50s. And they just, my grandma was very hardcore about that. So when my mom got out of high school, she went fucking nutty.
Yeah.
So, but I got to give her credit. She lived. And I feel that I didn't, to a degree. I was very passive about things, and I didn't fight for the things I should have, and I fought for the things that I shouldn't have. And I think that I'll live with a little regret with that. But I believe that I've, at least over the last 10 years, I've stopped doing that. I fight for the things that I think are 100% legitimate. If I think it's right, I'm going to fight to the death for it. As
you should.
I also don't give up, and that's kind of a problem with me sometimes, is that I just can't, and it's hard for me. And I wish sometimes that I wasn't like that, but I think it's not a bad characteristic either. But like I said, me and my friend were talking about my mom, and even she said like, yeah, I wish I could be like your mom. And I was like, yeah. And it's funny because the girl down the street is a lot like my mother. And I mean that in the best way possible. They're both May Geminis, and they have a lot of same characteristics. So it's funny because I've always heard like we try to date people like our parents, and I don't know if people have ever done that with me. I've had people say, oh, you're a lot like my dad, which is, yeah, but not like I was dating you because you're like my dad. And I don't think I'd ever say that to anyone either. Like, I'm dating you because you're like my mom. But it is because I think that comes off very weird as well. Like, because I don't I'm not the kind of person who wants to be mothered.
Yeah.
Um, and that's probably because my mom really wasn't in my life like my dad was. I was raised by my dad after 12. So my
Yeah.
formidable years were all with my father. And my mom was a weekend warrior. So, and not that that's bad. I love my mom to death. But I don't think that I'm to be mothered like that. So, and maybe that was bad in relationships because I'm just not like that. You don't have to do shit for me. I want something other than that. Um, but it's interesting that, when my mom passed away, I started to think more about maybe what I missed from that though, not having a relationship with her. Cause there's so many friends of mine that have like really, really good relationships with their mother. Both male and female. Um,
Hmm.
and maybe I missed out on, something, and maybe that's why parts of me are broken. I don't know. But it's interesting. But then I have friends who are trying to fix relationships with their parents still to this day.
Yeah. I do too. I was just talking to someone who was saying that they can't stand their father and he's been going in and out of the hospital. And I was like, yeah, you need to fix that like quick because he's not going to be around for a long time. And you don't fix it for them, you fix it for you.
Exactly.
And there's been so many times when I've told people that and they've actually worked on their relationship and they got to a good place with their parents. And I'm grateful for that because I would think it could be so much worse. It could just be so much worse. Having regret and resentments and
Mm,
being
totally.
frustrated. Oh, I'm so glad.
I've seen it with a friend of mine that she has not the greatest relationship with her mother,
Yeah.
but um, I've seen it recently within the last year, just because I've been around her more the last year,
Yeah.
that she's is building a bridge to it. Now,
Good.
is it going to change everything? Of course not,
Nothing.
because there's wounds with all of us that'll never be healed. But I think that
Hmm.
there's things that you have to realize, like they're your parents, and maybe
Absolutely.
they did their best job. And, because I think I don't know a lot of what my dad went through
You haven't talked to him
because,
about it?
um, a little bit, but not, look, man, look, I can't say I had a bad childhood. I just
Yeah.
can't. And, maybe that, it, I think with people around me, when I hear about their childhoods, it's for me, it's hard because like I don't resonate with them
Yeah.
because like mostly with my mom, my relationship with my mom was every 2 weeks for 3 days. She was a Disneyland parent. It was awesome. I would go, I'd take my best friend out there. We'd go hang out. She'd order pizzas and we'd watch, pseudo porn movies because it was like Porky's, and we just go out there and raise hell for 3 days and then come back home. So it was great. My dad, my dad was stern, but I can't say that he wasn't, he wasn't horrible. He was just, he was very stern.
Yeah.
I had to be in at a certain time and had to get, had to work
He
at
had
school and
rules.
regular stuff, just
Yeah.
regular things. Um, but I don't know the back end of what he went through. He was a single dad with at one point two sons until my brother moved out. But he worked a lot and he worked as much overtime as he could. And at that time, I was like, oh, okay, you're working it because it's there. No, it was work. He was working it because he was probably, you know, trying to survive, just like I am today.
Yeah.
So you start looking at it like that. And look, I mean, my dad's 81 years old. I don't know how much time he's
Wow.
got left. Um,
So your dad's like 4 years older than mine.
Yeah. But,
Dang.
like my dad's lived a good life, and his wife is 20 years younger than him. And thank goodness I know she's there to take care of him. And it's really funny because she's such an old soul. She's from the Midwest. Even when they started dating, he was 45 and she was 25. She seemed so much different than what you what I would have thought of then. She was such an old soul even then.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just the Midwest person. You're definitely a different kind of folk that when you come from there. But look,
That's for
I
sure.
got to give it to him. My dad also did that. He lived. He didn't worry about what, I think he did worry in the beginning about what the kids would think, but I don't think he really worried, because I told him the first time, like, go be happy.
Yeah.
And I hope that my son's the same way. And I've talked to him about, it's so funny. The person that I like at certain times thought my son didn't like her. Was like, oh, your son doesn't like me because I've hurt you over the years at this, and this. And I went, okay, I don't think that way. And I've asked him, and my son's very honest. Matter of fact, honest to a point where
To
he'll
fault.
probably hurt someone's feelings at
Yeah.
some point. He's very honest. But he wrote something to me because I was talking to him about her, and he said, because we all hung out one night, me, her, her son, and my son's girlfriend at the time. We all had a good old time and had some drinks, and we're just sitting around. And then I said something to him, and he goes, a couple of days later, I said, "No, this, and she still thinks this about you." And he goes, "I really wish she'd come over here more because she'd liven up the place."
Hmm.
And look, I know my son has issues with his mother, and my friend is very motherly, and that's one of the things I really like about her, that a she's a good mom, and even though our kids shit on us all the time and think that we're horrible and whatever.
Fucking
See,
kids.
yeah. And I see, because she'll tell me things about her kids, and she's a great mom. She's just, she's very stern and very open about things, and she'll tell them and they don't want to hear that shit. And look, we all see things from a different point of view. That's the way truths are. They're all from a certain point of view. But it's interesting that, you know, I probably wish I would have talked to my mom more about that, because my mom knows about, or knew, she's not here anymore, knew about my friend down the street. And I had told her all kinds of different things about her. And it's so funny because the way my mom was, it was like, what are you waiting for? You got to go get her. And who cares if, that she's in this kind of thing and this, go get her, go get her, go get her, go get her. And I think that that's because my mom lived that way. My mom would have been like, jump in feet first, see what happens. And if it doesn't work, at least you guys both know and you can move on with your lives.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
But
Because
it
my mom
literally
was,
is that easy.
well, because my mom, I think, as far as I know, and we never really got too deep into it, but my mom was unhappy with my father for whatever reason.
Mm.
And she, I guess, woke up one day and was like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore, and ended it. And it was very much like that from both sides that I've kind of, got information out of them. And like I
Yeah.
said, my mom regretted it years later, but I found it that my mom pushed me to be the same as her. Like, look, you're only here one time. If it works, you'll be in a great place. If it doesn't, you guys both at least know and you can move on. And I think that I want to live that way with everything now,
Absolutely. And you
because
should.
I know, and I hate to say, I'm kind of like you, where you kind of wonder. I have this weird feeling that I'm going to die young. And to me, young is anything under 70. So I'm not saying I'm
Okay.
going to die tomorrow, but I think anything under 70 is still in that ballpark of, wow, that's kind of young to die. So I want to try these things, and I want to live a little bit, and I want to have the last remaining years of my life be whatever it can be at the top of the thing. Cause I don't want to be like some of my friends that I've seen that right now are miserable, and they're going to continue to be miserable because
They're not
they are,
changing their responses to
yeah.
life.
Well, your life is yours to change. If you keep going through the same circles and doing the same bullshit, that's on you. Um, and I kind of said that to somebody the other day. She's in a bad marriage, and I was like, on you. Divorce is hard. That's another thing I said. The divorce is hard,
Divorce
but
is hard, but laying next to somebody that you can't connect with is harder.
for sure.
It's also harder to not be touched. It's harder to not have sex. It's harder to have to work and do all these things for a person that doesn't know how to say thank you. It's harder to do all that.
I
It
agree.
wasn't hard to get divorced because I didn't fight it and he didn't fight it. So it was very easy. So, if you're at the point where you're not even wanting to be with each other, there should be no fighting. Just should be very easy to just break it off and do something that makes you happy. Not that being single is going to make you happy, because a lot of people aren't happy being single. I'm kind of digging the whole single thing. I'm not stressed out very much, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, I talked to, like, even the other day we were both talking with my friend on the street, and we were talking about marriage, and she's like, I'm not sure if I want to get married. And I
I
said, look,
don't.
that scares me. I don't want to say like I do, but I would. But
I'm on the
it does
fence.
scare me. It scares me totally again. I think now, I've talked to her about just how I feel about marriage now and what I think. It's kind of like, I'll give you an example. If I got with somebody who owned a house right now, and I would totally sign a prenup. But the house is yours. If you had it before me, I don't want to. I'm not fighting at the end of any marriage over fucking things. They're just things. All this shit we have, the TV in the living room, the fucking, all this shit is nonsense. It's all going to be sold off by our kids for, pennies on the dollar.
If that.
Yeah. Or given away to the fucking Goodwill,
Or just thrown in a trash
or
bin.
thrown in the trash. They're just things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are things here that I hope are passed down. There's things that I've told my kid that I want him to keep, and that kind of thing. But mostly they're just things. You can't replicate love with things. But I've heard people go, money won't buy you happiness.
It
And
sure
look,
won't.
I think it's a good start, but I was listening to a comedian, Tom Segura. He was on a podcast, and even he said it. He was like, he goes, I was broke, and I thought, man, I can't wait to be rich. And he goes, I'm rich, and you know what? I'm not happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least not the same way. He goes, look, it's great if you want things. He goes, but they're just things. And I think a lot of us are living for things instead of living for something way bigger than that. And again, I think my belief in God now and things that I've been seeing, I think that, you read the Bible, and, there's so many things about being in a relationship and being one with all of us. There is a hierarchy of that, of, God, husband, wife, children. There's an umbrella and a lot of different things. But I think that the more that I see things like that, all these people way back, and I mean way the fuck back, they had nothing but relationship. They only had that because everyone was poor and you were lucky to be living, and they probably lived a much
true too.
happier life than we live now. And we have things. You know, I don't know. I just think that we need to really get busy living. Do
I'm
whatever it
with
is that
you.
you want, strive for it, go get it. If there's something you want, make sure that everyone around you knows it. Make sure your kids know you love them. Make sure your wife or your husband knows that you love them, that the people that you want in your life know that you love them. Friends, even, like me and you, like I know that you know that I love you to death and that kind of thing. But like you really got to remind each other that
Hmm.
on such a higher level that because we either of us could go to bed tonight and not wake up. And I want the people that are very close to me that I really they really need to know that I love them, that I want them to know that, regardless of whether it's romantic, friendship, whatever it is. And I don't say it enough to my male friends, my
Hmm.
best friend. I don't say it enough. And I think that I'm going to start doing that in text messages all the time. I tell my son every day I love him. Every day before I go to bed,
Hmm.
he, he knows it. And the rest of the people in my life are going to start hearing it more because I think everyone needs to know it because I don't want to die one night and not say it to somebody. And then the next night, their next day, they question what
Anything.
what our relationship was.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm not in a hurry to get there. But we all need to start living. And that means whether if you're 50 or 20, live when
Hmm.
you're 20. Look how many people die young. Mostly now, shit. I heard something about cocaine the other day. Cocaine in the 80s was everywhere, right? Everyone was doing cocaine in the 80s. Now people are afraid to do cocaine now because of fentanyl.
Hmm.
So now, and again, I'm not a drug guy, but the joke of this guy was telling is you can't even do cocaine anymore. Like,
Yep.
can't do anything anymore. So just live. That's my thing of coming from this. I just want all the people out there, tell everyone around you that you love them. Make sure they know. Make sure that whatever they mean to you, that they know it. That if they're special in your life, make sure they know it. Because man, it's so difficult and so hard when we lose somebody and you didn't say anything. I'm kind of mad because I stopped talking to my friend in New York because she just kind of got crazy on me. And I wish that I would have hit her up, you know, a few more times just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you and I hope you're getting better or I hope everything's okay. Cause out of nowhere, she just died one night. And
Yeah, that's crazy.
and it was, it kind of, it was a very big reality check
Hmm.
that, it could be any of us.
So go make your plane reservations to go see your dad.
That's already in the queue. I gotta wait for winter. So it'll be soon. I'll probably go in, probably May when it's warm.
Take a nap.
Go for a week.
There you go.
But yeah, we'll see. I'd like to take somebody back there. Maybe I'll take my best friend back there and see if he wants to go or she wants to go. Either one. Just it'd be nice to. I don't want to. Not that I don't want to go alone, but it would be nice to go with somebody just to pass the time too. Because look, my it's not like my dad's wants to go out on the town all the time. It'd be nice to kind
Hmm.
of do things on my own as I go back there and visit as well.
There you go.
Yeah, I guess where he lives, they have like this huge reptile like zoo, like massive. It's in South Dakota. It's
Interesting.
just like the wildest thing. Like, what? How the fuck did you get? Like, they have
That in
alligators
South
and all kinds of
Dakota.
crazy shit. Bizarre. All right, teeners. One last thing. What are you gonna say?
There's no time like the present.
I was gonna try to top it, but I'm not. That's perfect. That's super perfect. Hey, make sure you're sharing our show when you listen to it. Send it to your relatives, your friends. Just send them a link. Check us out on all social medias. And We're out every Wednesday. Yeah, it's an opinion show. Don't get it twisted. Keep coming back every Wednesday. For Tina, I'm Rob. We will see you in a week.
See ya.